Welcome to another episode of the NiNe podcast, where Otim
Hello,
and
everyone.
Jono. Hello, Otim. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Very good. It's good to see you again. It's been
man.
It's been a whole month.
Yeah.
A hot month. So we are going to explore different topics around productivity, psychology, and philosophy. We do this every week. And today we're going to be talking about prioritizing. We're going to start with what is prioritizing? Odin.
Yeah, maybe
actually,
you go with
what?
the definition of it.
Yes.
First.
So I went on the Google prior to this show, and I thought, you know what, we need to get the definition of our shows and kind of dive in. What does the world objectively define as the titles of our podcast?
You almost said categories. Your NE.
Did I? Wow.
You almost did, but no, it's all good. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So ahead, what is prioritizing? From the Oxford Dictionary, designate or treat something as being very or most important.
Yeah.
Designate or treat something as being very or most important. The department has failed to prioritize safety within the oil industry.
Yeah.
The damn department. How dare they?
which honestly, that definition also just fits what Shave talk about when they talk about FI to the OP listeners out there.
Really?
I guess FI would be like most important based on what you've decided.
Based on what you value as important?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd say FI is good at, like, if you're like that example about the department failing to prioritize safety within the oil industry. I think FI, it's not like just what you like, but I think FI also works in terms of, I'm aware of what this department needs, so I'm going to prioritize this kind of thing. So it's just more so the decisions coming from you. Yeah. At least that's my understanding. But yeah.
So how does that relate to TI then?
To TI. So with me, and I've said this to people, I think prioritizing, because Shave have spoke about how F prioritizes and FI is the most, like, it prioritizes stuff. But with me, I noticed sleep also prioritizes. So I don't, and we can talk about, because I do have some examples of how I'm bad at prioritizing in terms of F. But I do notice with my TI, when it comes to sleep, I will prioritize when I know I have limited energy or limited resources. Because I'm like, hey, I don't have enough energy, so I need to pick the most important thing.
So you are prioritizing based on energy levels.
Yeah.
And I guess that's the perils of being an energy dump, right?
Yeah.
We're constantly like checking in with our own energy levels and seeing where are we at? Are we gonna have enough energy for this task? We need to recharge. So exactly, it's interesting how that comes across to us versus I'm curious to how like a infodom would be prioritizing.
Yeah.
Like play lasts, sleep lasts. How are they prioritizing?
I think you can give your own thoughts on this, and I could be wrong. So
I don't have any thoughts on this. This is a question that I've never thought about.
Yeah, just opening. Yeah, no, it's fair enough.
I haven't got TI, dude, so I just I don't have thoughts about
this.
Moment.
Yeah, no, it's and I may be wrong, and so also anyone listening, if you're an infodom, feel free to put in the comments like what your experience is.
Yes, because we're gonna butcher the absolute shit about this.
Yeah, probably. I think it's like, say with the sleep lasts, people would say, they don't prioritize based on their energy at all, so they end up burning themselves out. And that's like the common, I guess, idea. But I think it's more confusing to think about how play lasts fuck up prioritizing, because you'd assume, oh, they're double activated sleep, so surely they're they're super prioritizing. But I would say the unique thing about prioritizing is it only works in the context of a goal. Like you have to like the play is what is the context. Right. It's like the play tells you what you need to get done, and then your sleep prioritizes. So I guess my argument would be, I don't know if play lasts need to prioritize if they don't feel a lot of pressure from the play, because it's pressure, external pressure that makes you think, okay, like I was watching a TED talk, a doctor who was talking about, COVID, when there was not enough beds in the hospitals, and it's like, how do hospitals deal with that? That's an impossible situation. People need beds and there's not enough and people are dying. And she was saying you basically have to triage.
Yes, dude, I watched his podcast.
I
was gonna bring it up, dude. I was gonna bring this up.
I'm so sorry.
I'm not gonna apologize. No, dude, please don't apologize. I'm just pointing out the fact that we actually thought of the same. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, that's anyway. Cool. But you can use that example, but because my point was, I was gonna end my point.
Please,
which is just that I think
you can use it, dude. Just go for it.
Yeah, all right. I think with that doctor example, with extreme circumstances in the hospital, they have to triage. So it's prioritizing who needs the bed and who doesn't. And they'll have their own criteria, so I don't know the specifics, but the point is, it's the situation of this pressure. We have to get going. We have to. Yeah. If you're not going anywhere, you don't need to prioritize because you're comfy. So that's where I think the play last might not prioritize as much, because by definition you need to be pressured.
Makes sense. And dude, I just forgot that I've not set a timer, so I need to do this immediately.
It's all good.
Our lovely audience is going to get
a lot of mumbling.
Extra long episode or a very short episode. All right, I've set it for 2 minutes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And there's another definition. Should we go with? So this one is determine the order for dealing with a series of items or tasks according to their relative importance. And the example for that is age affects the way people prioritize their goals. I didn't actually understand that example, but
age affects the way people prioritize their goals. Yes,
I mean it's true. It is true, but I don't understand how it. I don't know.
That
how
means the order changes, right? Like the order will change as you.
Yeah, true. Right? But you're smart. And he is good. Thanks for clarifying that for me. Actually, that's true. Yeah, it works. It works for me.
Okay, good.
I think that was another moment of like our opposite functions filling in the voids.
I think is that NT? Like was that NT playing?
You just NET'd, and it just filled the void of me like needing it to be perfectly making sense. Yeah. So now, thanks.
But basically, I made you look like a genius.
No, you were the genius.
We're both geniuses.
Yeah, I'll take that. All right, so I think it's very similar to the first one, but it's basically talking about productivity, which we'll talk about more with prioritizing, because I think it's used a lot in productivity stuff. We can talk about tools a little bit. I don't know if you've used the Eisenhower matrix or whatever.
Yeah. So maybe
we can talk about that.
Will that lead us into why? The why? Or is that more the how?
Yeah, that's the how. And the why. We can talk about it in the why too, but that's the how. Yeah.
Let's jump straight into how, and we'll cover the why at the end. So we've basically just covered what prioritizing is, like what Otim and I both think it is from our perspectives, and the lovely Google definitions. But now I think we should kind of dive into how do we prioritize?
Yeah. How do we do it? Yeah. So you can go ahead. Start with this.
All right. So there's so many different ways. There's different areas to prioritize. But I think the first step is understanding like where you are distracted. And why do I say distracted? Because I think distractions are these days very, very hard to avoid, and they can really affect how you prioritize. So what I'm trying to say is basically, as an example, emails, right?
Yeah.
Most of us have jobs, most of us work, we have an inbox. It's very easy for your email inbox to basically run your productivity and run like your priorities and run what you need to be doing. But, and I'm going to go back to this example you brought up earlier, the TED Talk. In this same TED Talk, she brings up an example of how to manage your emails. And she says something which I still remember to this day because it impacted me incredibly deeply. And she said these magic words: emails are other people's priorities. And I was just like, holy shit.
It just
recontextualizes
it. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm responding, I'm like, throughout my day at work, I'm like kind of knee-jerk reacting to all these like emails that pop up.
Very reactive.
Bing, 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 that I've programmed myself. And like most of these emails are just other people asking me for something that they need.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, well, I just become someone else's bitch, basically. If I'm just responding to all these emails. So I was just like, you know what? Like, I don't need to check my emails throughout the day. I'm just going to check them every half an hour, maybe once every hour, but just, I'm not going to have notifications on. I'm going to check it when I want to check it.
Yeah, that's really good. That's really good.
And since just having that mindset, like, and now I'm just able to get other things done. Like, you know, things come to mind, I can then write them down, and then I can start putting them into a productivity system. It's just more mental space. So I don't know if I covered prioritizing. I did. I basically just said that emails are only a priority for other people, mostly. Most cases.
And that's actually really helpful because, you know, I've started working too, and I was noticing stuff like that. It's like, it's very easy to, obviously people want you to do stuff, so you should do stuff, but you can become very ineffective if you start reacting like that. And doing what you just said is actually a really simple way to make it more effective. So
you just become
that's perfect.
Programmed to that behavior, right? It just becomes a habit. Like, that's your habitual behavior, is just then responding to other, like, you know, just in life, like, and I feel like as an OE, like, very distracted with things that pop up in life. The phone flashes, like, walks past my house, I look outside, like a bird flies past the window, I'm like, oh, what's that? Like, it just
definitely. And a little bit of like DE, like feeling like, okay, I have to be completely available to the tribe members constantly. That like, there needs to be some boundaries with DE availability as well, right? Like, it's like, as soon as I'm part of a company, I'm like, they own me now. You know what I mean? But the problem with that is you won't be effective if you don't manage your workflow very well.
And I still think you can do the D. You can then, you know, that's when you can plan it, right? Like,
exactly.
Because I feel like
that's
also,
good.
Like, if you also set the expectations to people that you respond and do things for them instantly, like, you then have to keep that up, otherwise
this is what they expect now. And that's exactly what my line manager said. She said, listen, make sure to like give yourself a little bit of time before responding to the client, because exactly what you said, they'll expect immediate responses all the time. So like, always give a little bit of buffer. And that was good. That's good advice. That was actually very interesting, because that's like prioritizing relevant to the workplace. And I was gonna offer a way for prioritizing just to do with your personal life.
Please do.
And you may have, I think you've heard of this. It's the Eisenhower matrix. So it's a framework for prioritizing what you need to get done in your life.
I remember this
tasks,
especially
to-dos.
because a certain TI did the shit out of it and basically said it's done. That's what I remember.
The funny thing is, I don't use it, so I'm inclined to agree.
Okay.
No, it's but no, I think I don't know. It just didn't work for me, because I prioritize differently. But it's just a way you
Very
can
general.
look up other.
It's general, right?
It's general.
Yeah,
absolutely. You can anyone in the comments, you can just look for other frameworks. It's just a popular common framework.
But you can also apply this one if you're lazy as shit and don't have TI.
Yeah.
Like me.
Yeah. And I guess, and it's very simple. It's super, super simple, isn't it? It's just like there's like four.
Can you what are all the points? Like what are the levels? Let's go into the sensory on this.
So there's four, if I can remember. This is purely from memory. I haven't prepped this. It's you do the thing, you delegate it, you defer it, so do it in the future, or you delete it. Okay. Those are the four things you can do with a task. Okay. You do something if it's important and urgent. You delegate some. Yeah, you delegate it to someone else. You can check me if I'm wrong. You delegate to someone else if it's important but not urgent, and you delegate.
Yes, it's the same thing.
Yeah. So you delegate if it's urgent and not important. Defer it if it's important and not urgent, and then delete it if it's needed.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. But feel free to check it out.
Eliminate.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, and it's simple. It's very simple, and we'll go into the why, but that's basically a way of prioritizing, just using a framework to put things in boxes.
Matrix. Yeah, I like this.
Yeah.
And then so like SI means like, is there a system that I can like use to like I can download to like manage all my priorities?
Probably, definitely. Cool. I imagine there is. I haven't really looked it up.
Interesting.
Yeah. I also have it's kind of a tool, but it's for prioritizing when it comes to relationships. Because you know how before I mentioned that I'm good at the sleep prioritizing, but I'm bad at the F prioritizing?
Yes.
It comes in when it comes to do with relationships. And one thing that so there's a tool that's helped me learn how to prioritize things in relationships. It's a book. It's a book called Crucial Conversations. And the book just talks about how you can manage conversations with people when the emotional stakes the emotions are really high, or the stakes are high. So emotions could be high if it's to do with politics. Stakes could be high if it's a big consequence, like are we getting married?
Or they're at a Texan barbecue and everyone's holding a steak in the air.
Man, just it's I like side tangent. Is nice because I feel like it makes me think faster. Like you guys force me to kind of move a bit quicker, which is good for me. Okay. But anyways, the book is good because it talks about when you go into conversations with people, rather than just being reactive, you have to, and it goes through what it is you have to prioritize. You have to prioritize specific things to make sure you have a good conversation with someone. One example is prioritizing in a common thing, prioritizing good communication with your partner and prioritizing the love you have for each other. If you don't have that going into big conversations, you'll find yourself being reactive to the fact that, he didn't take the rubbish out, I'm gonna flip out, or he didn't, or she didn't, she was supposed to get the car washed.
Can you say it one more time for our listeners and for me, because I forgot what it was called?
Yeah. So the book is called Crucial Conversations.
Crucial Conversations. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
I'm writing that one down.
Yeah. And it's basically an in-depth view of how to manage really important, high-stakes emotional conversations with people. And you have to be able to prioritize things when you go into the conversations. Otherwise, you'll prioritize the wrong things. You might prioritize that person didn't take the rubbish out, when instead you could have had a completely different conversation. And that's, it's really good for relationships, because I've come into situations where I should be and my girlfriend's pointed this out to me, where someone has screwed me over, but I don't want to be awkward. I don't want to ruin the vibe. So I pretend like it's okay. But I'm really upset. And then my girlfriend's like, no, it's important to prioritize letting that person know that they've done something wrong, because the relationship will suffer if you don't. Because the person needs to know, okay, this was a bad thing, and then you can both be happy. Otherwise, I don't talk to that person as much. You know what I mean? It's like I need to prioritize long term instead of this short term. What's convenient? You know what I mean? So that's what I mean by relationship prioritizing. Okay. And that book's really good. It's really good. I'm definitely gonna add still listening to it. Yeah, it's very good.
You're listening to a book? How do you do that?
Oh, I almost answered as well. I had to remember he's fucking with me. But yeah.
Okay, so then back on just one more point for Hal. And this kind of relates back to what I was saying with the email thing and not checking your emails. It's like, I think we also need to just schedule time away from like our phones, our computers, and social media. Like we need to allow our mind to have some time to focus, and because that's going to really just help us identify priorities. Like as our minds calm down, we then start bringing back all this, all that, all this thing to do, and that kind of then allows us to then reprioritize and not forget things.
100%, because the biggest obstacle to prioritizing, and the most important thing about it, is when you're being reactive. When you're in reactive mode, you're not prioritizing. You're just the world is prioritizing for you. It's like the email example. Other people's priorities are determining yours.
Yes.
And you don't work your best in that state. The priority state you want to be in is proactive. So get behind the stuff you need to do, and just like you said, you need to create space for that.
The best thing I did was just turn off all notifications on my phone. And just basically only allow stuff like phone, SMS, messages, and that's it. Like everything else is completely off.
It's noise.
Really changed my life.
No, that's really good, man. I do a little bit extreme. I'll just the freedom app blocker that I am a bit more extreme. I'll block all apps for a number of hours, and then after some hours I'll turn everything back on. But I do more of an extreme swing. Maybe I should do your way.
No, yours is good. I mean, if it works for you, just do it that way.
Yeah, fair enough.
It needs to update if it's working.
Fair enough.
All right, so
we can move on to
why. What's the why? Why? We talked about what, yes, we get it.
Yes.
How, yes, okay, cool. You guys are super productive. We get it. But why do we do this?
As intuitives, this is the most important part.
Yes.
The why.
Yeah. I wanted to start with this because I felt like this is the only thing that mattered in this out of the what.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I talking about what and how? Who cares? It's all about the why, right?
Yeah, honestly, I'm overly prepared in my mind to talk about the why. But it's good we have it at the end, because I think we would have spoken a lot. We would have spoken too much about it.
Very good point.
But I think I could boil it down to two things and expand on it, and then you can explain your side of it too. I think the main thing about prioritizing is it's for you to be your best. So it's your emotional well-being. You're able to be productive because your mind is clear. You're not overwhelmed. So you as a system, you're good. So your well-being. And the second thing is your actions are good. The actual outcomes you're doing are good. So you're choosing the right tasks to do. in a company, you'll have a million things that needs to be done to keep the company afloat. You don't have all the resources. So therefore, to make sure you have the right actions, you need to prioritize. So it's like a very action-oriented one. And there's a very like self-sufficiency. I need to be emotionally well and productive, So those two things, outside and inside.
Inside and outside.
Yeah.
I like that. So it kind of like is almost what I was having in mind as well, like about energy, stress.
Yeah.
But also like time, I think is really important. So
absolutely.
I'll go over why I mentioned stress, but I think like learning to effectively prioritize just helps you focus and reduce clutter and chaos around you, like physically around you and also like mentally in your brain. And for me, it's like as an OE, I feel like I just am a magnet to things happening everywhere. Like my brain is like a compass. It just goes.
It's ready to
a
switch.
magnet. It just switches.
Yeah.
Like literally every night. An example. I watch TV with Saz. We're watching this TV show, Bridgerton. Really cool show.
Yeah.
We have a light outside our house, and there's a window to the right. And every time it walks on, like I literally, like instantly, when someone walks past and activates this light, my brain just like straight away. I'm just like waiting to see what happens.
What the?
I just like on the side, just like a small little thing changes, and it's like
yeah. That's hilarious. So, okay.
Yes. Yeah. Those things happen a lot to me. So cutting down distractions on phones and all that kind of stuff really, really, really helps. So I think as other OEs would probably feel the same. You just need to narrow down, stop all the input basically. And the time piece, just, if you just focus on what is important and you block out the distractions, you have more time to think because suddenly, there's not as much to do.
Yeah, exactly.
You're always doing dumb things.
Yeah. Things that are ineffective. It's not actually making any changes into your life. Yeah. And to add to that, the other why is having good long-term relationships, right? If you're prioritizing, you could prioritize even based on who do I want to be friends with, because that's important.
Really good.
Who do I want to spend time with?
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson actually for sleep lasts.
Yeah.
Like my observation of sleep lasts is they get involved in a lot of groups, like like on the internet, like Facebook groups, they're Discord groups, they're all in different social circles. They get really, 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 really kind of drawn into those things that then becomes a lot of their time and energy.
And they're not, because the spread's so thin. They're not investing.
They're not investing their time in themselves. So I think like this, I've thought about this for ages, man. Like I think like
I remember you've mentioned this before.
If sleep lasts, like are just able to just narrow down their groups that they're in, I think and not join new ones because you have more time, but
and that's the thing. It's not even like they have to have few friends. They can still have like a number of friends, but just don't. It's the switching. It's the new. It's like the restart of like
or just this. Prioritize ones that are actually you get value from, or you get you get good stuff out of, and you give
exactly.
Because like
put more into the ones that you get back from. Exactly.
Be aware of what's poison and what's gold.
Exactly. And the last, I kind of mentioned this before, the only other thing I'd say for why is, I mentioned before, if you don't take responsibility for prioritizing things, then the world will prioritize things for you. It's going to happen. You can't just ignore it. Because if you don't take responsibility for it, it's not like, oh, I'm just going with the flow and it's fine. No, like there are things that are pulling your strings. You're being controlled by the environment. And if you want to be a leaf in the wind, sure, do it. But the things you want in life won't happen that way, essentially. So that's the other thing, I think. just being like, okay, I actually have to pick what's important.
Exactly. Yeah. Learn from the Bible. Hear that, dude? I've related it back to the Bible and Christianity and religion. Again, I do this every week. Yeah. But do not eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Was it in the Bible?
Yeah. Yeah.
Only eat from the Garden of Eden.
Yeah. To be honest, the Bible has good stuff, man.
Oh, it's great. There's a lot of
it has a lot of good principles. Yeah. But yeah, I think that that's the overview of the why.
That was it, guys. We have stopped blasting. This is the end of the blast.
Yeah. Cut off point.
All right, Otim, do you want to sign us off?
Yeah. So that was our take on, what prioritizing is and why you do it and how you do it. But we're also open to, other people's experiences of what it is. And we mentioned that thing specifically about infodoms. I'm definitely curious about what your guys' takes is on prioritizing, how you guys do it. If it's hard for you. So feel free to leave all your insights in the comments. I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast. Feel free to check out that book, Crucial Conversations. It's a very good book. I recommend it. I'm not being paid to sponsor it.
Paid? Not yet. We will be probably in the next 20 years.
Yeah, because we need some money. But and I hope you guys enjoyed this podcast episode, and we will catch you guys next month. It's quite a while, isn't it? But yeah. Much love.
Much love, guys. Thank you very much. Appreciate the listeners. Please give us feedback. Goodbye.